I have an idea. We can have a theme song for this episode.
What is it?
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. What do you think?
It's up to you. I don't care. Up to you. I have no voice in this.
All right, here we go.
I just want to get through it.
Let's have fun with it.
All right.
They say a journey begins in a single step, or in my case, one less piece of bread. My name is Chad, and I'm your test subject. I have sought out an expert in the field of nutrition and fitness who I hoped would help me feel, well, better. They call him the biohacker, but I call him Eric. I hope you'll join me on a path that leads you and I to optimal fitness as we live our lives in ketosis. This is the Life in Ketosis podcast, a biohacker's guide to optimal body performance.
Hello everyone, my name is Chad, and this is episode 22 of my quest to achieving optimal body performance with the man that can get me there, the biohacker himself, Mr. Eric Bischoff. Every episode, I'll be sharing my actual results, both successes and failures, as Eric teaches me how to apply the principles of ketogenics and functional movement to look and feel fantastic. Just as a quick reminder, the first 5 episodes of this podcast are our foundational episodes. That's where you'll get the foundation of the principles that we talk about in ketogenics and functional movement, and we'll bring you up to speed with what we're talking about today. So if you haven't listened to those, we encourage you to hit pause now, go back, listen to those, and then join us back here, and we're going to have a good discussion today, right, Eric?
I think so.
How are you doing?
I really don't want to be here today. It was not my idea. This is your podcast.
This was absolutely my idea. Today, reluctly, but on Eric's part, excitedly on my part, we're going to talk about sex.
We'll make you talk about it.
No, I think this is a valuable topic to talk about. I think it's a big part of most people's lives, and as you consider these sort of things, you want to know how it's going to affect it, if it does at all, right? And so that's really what we're doing is we're attacking every aspect of the ketogenic lifestyle, and this is part of it.
Now, and you're filming this on this subject the first time.
Not the first time.
Will my face show red or not on your camera? No, this is
Also, for those of you who are listening,
I'd rather talk about hormones, not sex. But
hey, I'm
gonna tie it in a little bit.
That's
you
part
told
of the
me
discussion.
Not to go too deep, but
yeah,
it makes it easier on me.
Yeah. For those of you that are listening, just so you know, we are now publishing all of our podcasts on YouTube, where you can kind of see a behind-the-scenes look at our podcast recordings. And with this episode particularly, you can see Eric turn red. So
no notes, no questions beforehand. This is what he wants. All right,
we're going freestyle here.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. All right.
No, we're inviting Eric to lean on all of his knowledge instead of overstudying.
Not much on that.
there's a ton, and we're gonna unlock it all right here.
I'm 62 years old. I'm done. Okay.
In this conversation about sex, so you can look us up on YouTube, BioFit Coaching on YouTube, and you can watch our podcast episodes if you so want to, and hang out with us for a little while. So anyway, let's start. And I'll kind of. This is a selfish topic for me, I guess. I mean, I'm going to make the case during this podcast that the ketogenic lifestyle can actually improve your sex life. Okay, that's the case I'm going to make.
Okay.
And you can either back me up or you can battle me on it, right?
Well, you're speaking from experience, right?
Absolutely.
I'm too old. I can't speak from experience. All right? I'm just going to look at the data.
So we're going to watch our numbers drop significantly because nobody wants to sit around and listen to 2 dudes talk about sex.
That's probably true. One young dude, one old dude. Right.
But we are going to talk about some science, and we're going to talk about a few different angles and ways to look at this. So first thing I want to talk about, you already brought it up, hormones, sex hormones, or hormones in general that affect our sex drive. What are we looking at, or what are we talking about when we talk about ketogenics affecting our hormones?
Well, we got to get back to the basics of, sex is due to a hormonal response. Okay, that's our baseline again. And we get in keto, okay, hopefully, from ketosis, we're going to improve upon some of the biomarkers that'll help us in that area of better hormone production, okay? And remember, we got to get back to that basic of how hormones are produced. We have our sex hormones and our steroid hormones, okay? And today we're dealing with the subject of sex. So we're going to be dealing with testosterone and estrogen, okay? Mm-hmm. But remember how we talked about in another podcast how that's made, and we got to go back to cholesterol, okay?
Yeah.
Cholesterol is a precursor. Without cholesterol, we always hear against cholesterol, but we need cholesterol to go ahead and make those steroid hormones, our sex hormones. So without cholesterol, we have nothing.
Yeah.
So your sex drive and your sexual activity is nil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cholesterol has gotten a bad name,
yes.
obviously, and we talked a little bit about that in an earlier podcast. Right. But it has gotten a bad name and kind of been painted as all negative.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No. You've got to have it for life. Your cellular membrane, the flexibility, fluidity of your membrane, communication. Biogenesis of that membrane. You've got to have it. But beyond that, it's a precursor, and that's what steroids are made from. Remember how we talked about comes to the cell, the cytoplasm, and that LDL receptor brings in that cholesterol intracellular real quick, jumps to the transport to the mitochondria outer membrane, then transport to the inner membrane. Then cholesterol makes pregnenolone, then progesterone comes from that, then DHEA, then testosterone, and estrogen. So that's the way it flows. Okay?
And how does ketosis improve that process?
All right, we're back into the mitochondria. Okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah. How do we get there? Yeah.
If only. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say something.
Go ahead.
But this whole podcast is just full of puns. But I was just gonna say, if only we could have sex in the mitochondria.
That's the energy source right there. Remember. Movement is medicine, right?
Yep.
And how do we create movement? We have to make ATP.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an effective functioning mitochondria, okay, producing that ATP, less free radicals, less reactive oxygen species, less inflammation, it's all derivative there, okay? So really, a good sex life, okay, has to be reliant upon a very good functioning mitochondria. Without that, then we have all the diseases and everything else, and you know what happens when you have diseases. Next thing you know, your other hormones are messed up, and then your sexual desire or appetite or whatever you want to call it, libido, is diminished.
So this brings me to my first. All of these are setups, right? I'm setting you up to give me evidence of my point before I actually bring it out. So Here's my point to this one. In jumping into hormones,
I don't know what's coming out.
Is getting into the mood, right?
Yeah.
These hormones, these sex hormones,
yes.
play a big part in our sex drive or getting into the mood
yes.
to have sex.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So point number one, for me, it helps you get into the mood. Ketosis, right? Because it improves that process of hormone production.
Oh, it does.
And it's going to help us get in the mood.
You bet. And you feel good, okay? Remember, everything is, in our life, we're either in a stressful situation, okay, or we're not, okay? And that's, that fight or flight, okay? Or we're in a sympathetic or parasympathetic situation, and everything has to come together to make it work, okay? And it's not, like you, if you're stress-free, your kids are great, your wife's great, your job is great, you've been exercising, your body composition, you feel really good, you have a lot of energy, you're getting your sleep, all these factors start to come in to optimize what you're getting in the mood for, or what, your testosterone levels, your estrogen levels, both female and male. It all plays a big role, because if you're in that stressful mode, what's that hormone we've talked about that will take you out of it? It's cortisol.
Yeah.
All right. And so you got to get your adrenals, which I can go into that, but there's a lot of things we can go into and the science of it. But bottom line is you you've got to feel good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The symptoms have to be there to make you feel good.
Yeah.
All right?
You're giving away all my points.
Okay, go.
You're jumping ahead. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. You're good. And if you are just listening to this, you got to go watch the video because you got to see the way Eric squirms every time I or he says the word sex.
Yeah, I'm too old for this. I'm at that stage where, when you're younger, it's all your thoughts are, how they say, are always about sex. But now I'm kind of moving on to all my thoughts about food. So, I'm kind of moved on.
So another sub point to my point of getting into the mood, or it helps you get into the mood, is you already brought it up, stress.
Yes.
Okay. We all know when we're in stressful situations in life, this sex drive or getting in the mood, quote unquote, is one thing that goes out the window, right? Because you're just not in that place. So where does ketosis, how does it help us with our stress levels and, that stuff?
And that's what ketosis is about. It's functioning better. Your body's going to function better, okay? Without cortisol, okay, one of the big drivers of cortisol, besides a stressful moment, is we got insulin resistance, okay? We have metabolic syndrome. We have hypertension, all right? We have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes. We have these other factors that are going to take you out, basically throw you in some cortisol, some issues where you're in a stressful environment, your adrenals are not operating real function, your thyroid may be off, which could be a derivative causing your cholesterols to be off, and then your cholesterols aren't producing, then guess what? You're not producing your sex steroids, okay? Those hormones, testosterone, estrogen. You need those levels. For women too, men, you need, testosterone for women is basically the big kicker for sexual desire, okay? And obviously for men, okay? Yeah. It's like if you abstain, there's studies showing if you abstain for 3 weeks, okay, you're actually going to increase your testosterone, okay?
I've never experienced that. So. No, I'm just kidding.
Hasn't worked for me yet. No.
Just kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
No, you're good. You're good. But that's where it comes down to. We've got to set the stage to have that good hormonal balance.
Yeah.
Okay. Because without it, you're just going through the motions, or you're going to find something else to do. Okay. And I deal with a lot of clients that come to me, and I look at their biomarkers. And they're saying, man, I'm really low on T. And you hear that constantly, especially with men, more than women, because it's more talked about. Low T in commercials and everything else. And so then I start piecing it together. Why do you have low T? And a lot of it comes back to stress, okay? Poor eating, insulin resistance, carbs, sugar is so critical to knock you out of that, all right? And I can go into details about sugar. Then again, we're dealing with insulin spiking and everything else. So it all plays a big role. And I can go really deep into each one individually, but overall, you've got to put kind of everything together. Yeah.
Okay, so you evaluate my point one chemically in our bodies with our hormones and reactions to ketosis. Point number one, is it valid or not? Does help your sex drive?
Yeah, and you can get on the internet and you're going to find 50% and say, no, my especially men, nobody talking about their testosterone really dropped. Then I can show you studies where, and both ways, it comes, and what made the change? You went ketogenics, okay? So you did a dietary change, a nutritional change. So maybe some nutrients you were not getting when you were vegan, now you switched over to meat. Maybe you're getting things that you never had before. And all of a sudden that started putting things better for you in hormonal balance and your stress and everything else. So you have to figure out, it may not, it's the dietary change, nutrition, or is it the mineral content, the vitamins? There's a lot to it. And you can find either way out there. Some say it's dropped, some say it's better. Okay. And I can go back and forth on every study. Okay.
All right.
But if it works for you.
So we're neutral there. We're 50-50.
No, if it works for you and works for me and others that I've talked to, that's what counts. Okay. Because cool. I don't really believe there's a placebo effect from keto to make you want more sex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You either have the desire or your libido is there or it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
what do I know?
Are we ready to move on to my next point?
It depends. I don't know where you're going.
My next point is body composition.
Yeah.
When your body composition improves, right? And improvement is something different. It's something different for everybody.
Yes.
Right? We all have our own idea of what body composition improvement could, should,
Very much
would
so.
be, right? Now, I can only speak from my personal experience because I've only lived inside my own body and mind, but I know when I feel good about my body, my sex drive goes up. Right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, I mean, results show the ketogenic lifestyle improves your body composition.
Absolutely.
So my point number 2 is the way that ketogenic improves your sex life is by improving your body composition. Right?
Absolutely.
And oftentimes that also improves your significant other's sex drive.
That's true. That works. But it's amazing, and those that I coach and the biofitters that have body composition issues, okay, which, let's be honest, a lot of us do, all right? And even when you correct that body composition, you look good, you still have that emotional and that mental attachment thinking it's not good enough, okay?
Yeah.
And I guess I can talk about my wife. She's not here, I guess.
Because if she was.
She'd just be punching me. But she's one of those that had body composition issues where, it's either lights on or lights off. I don't mean to be blunt, but it's like lights off.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't feel comfortable about herself. She judges herself so harshly. And she's been keto for over a year, dropped 25 pounds, I think looks fantastic. Even though I keep telling how good she looks, it still hasn't sunk in mentally in her mind. And women out there and men, I think you all can relate to that. And that, as a coach, that's one of the things, and you'll have to overcome that too as you coach, with getting them to realize the beauty within and how they really look and not how they see themselves. It's hard. And that affects everyone's sex life in a certain way.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say overall, the majority of the people that I've worked with, that I've now started to be able to coach, that kind of stuff, they are very happy with the direction that their body are going.
Guys are always in love with themselves. I mean, once they start ripping up, it's like they're peacocks.
Yeah.
I mean, in a good way. They're not bad guys. They're just that they're ready. They feel really good about themselves, and they reward themselves, and their testosterone levels, their libido picks up, and a lot of it's to do not with just that body composition, but with getting all your other biomarkers in order.
Yeah.
Your thyroid's good, your blood lipids are good, your cortisol, and some of these guys have stressful jobs, really stressed, but they're still in homeostasis. They're good.
Yeah. All right, you ready for point number 3?
I guess.
Mental clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. So we obviously have talked lots and lots on this podcast
Yes.
about mental clarity and inflammation in the brain.
Right.
When we're on a ketogenic lifestyle, we're really taking care of, we're starting to work on that inflammation in the brain. In fact, when we're burning ketones in the brain, inflammation can't exist, really.
It really reduces it, because that's the power of that beta hydroxybutyrate molecule is in the neurons. It's there. I mean, you got to get to that mitochondria, reduce that reactive oxygen species, reduce those free radicals, really cut down on that inflammation, and that's key. I mean, the NLPR3, the NF-kappa B, all these pathways are reduced because of the beta hydroxybutyrate molecule. Okay, and the interleukin 1, interleukin 18, these things are all causing inflammation through joints, through cardiovascular. That plays a big role in sex. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so it all starts there. It
and
really
for
does.
me, and this is again my personal experience, but how this relates to the sex drive is, for me, if I'm distracted, which is a lot of times that's how my fogginess shows up, is like distraction, can't concentrate, can't let things go. There's that foggy, that lingering. Without that, I can let a lot of my daily tasks, my occupational tasks and all that kind of stuff, I can be clear about pushing those aside and just being in the moment. Which is a big part of having a good experience and a good sex drive, right?
Yes.
Is just being there, not thinking about that.
And the chatter's gone. I mean, you're really able to really have just cognitive function.
Yeah.
And that's the neat part. And it's not placebo because you don't even realize it
Yeah.
until afterwards. Like,
Right.
wow, I was in the zone. And
Yeah.
that's what, and I just had some BioFitters that last week and this week ended a 3-day and 4-day fast. And I've been working and coaching them through it. And it is, every time I know it's coming, the communication is going to come to me. It says, hey, I feel awesome. Can I go longer? And I'm like, no. I'm all about adaptation. Get your
Yeah.
body adapted to it. Okay, we got autophagy taking place and a lot of different things on your body. Okay,
Yep.
it's a stressor
Yeah.
at first. Then, but every one of them will literally just say, oh my gosh, I'm not hungry. My cognitive, I felt fantastic. I had energy I never believed. And that's fasting. I mean, you have no energy substrates coming in at all except and these are water fasts. You're burning ketones.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your energy
Yeah.
source. And even when I was on that 5-day water fast, and I had all my biomarkers done, and the one testosterone from the first day to the last day, that morning to that morning, I did my cortisols and I did my testosterone. Cortisols were fine, which normally that's a stressor, okay, and you're going to raise your cortisol, but they were fine. And then that testosterone from the day before, the day after, doubled. So for me, doubling your testosterone, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to show that, yeah, it's strange how your body works.
Yeah.
It really is.
Did any of your clients share with you what happened to their sex drive while they were
No,
fasting?
I didn't ask.
That is not a standard question.
No,
just
they're
so
like,
you're
oh
aware.
man, my coach is a perv or something. No, I can't do that. No. And I get clients that come to me, and then that subject, I'm just like, I'm going to take you down. Let's talk about food. All right, let's talk about your meals. You know?
Hey, this topic is just as important.
But you know
as
what?
food.
You get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
And there is people suffering from, low libido and low sex drive, and you gotta figure out those hormones. And if it begins, all begins at what we would call the HPG axis, hypothalamus and pituitary, down to the adrenals, the gonadal, and of course you have thyroid axis too. So there's 3 axes.
Yeah.
All right. So especially in this one, we got to get to, we're going to deal with your luteinizing hormone and your follicle stimulating hormone. That's communicating to your gonads, to your testes, all right, to your ovaries, and to your adrenals, okay, to say, hey, let's make testosterone, let's make estrogen, all right? Like me at my age, my testes probably aren't doing so much testosterone production. It's coming from my adrenals now. And so that's why we got to test your biomarkers. If you come to me with low T, I'm going to say, all right, let's check your sex hormone binding globulin, because that's what bounds your free testosterone, okay? So I think I remember, and that's made by the liver. So what you're concerned with, and male and female, is the testosterone and the estrogen is free, okay?
Yep.
So what happens on the sex hormone binding globulin, it actually binds up at least 80% of your testosterone, if I'm talking to you, your testosterone. So it's not free, it's bound. Then another 19% is albumin is attached to it. So you have about 1% of free T. That's what hits the androgen receptors, goes into the cell, into the nucleus, starts that cascade of desire, sexual, etc. So there's a lot of things we got to test. That sex hormone binding globulin, we got to test that. There's a lot of things we got to look at biomarker-wise, because there's a reason if you have low free T. There's a reason.
Okay.
We just got to get to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So that's my. Wait. What one are we on?
We're on 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was 3. I'm trying to get you into hormone talk. Let's talk about
So
the
my next
hypothalamus
one-
and the pituitary. Let's get back to that.
My next one, number 4, more energy
Yes.
across the board.
All the way across.
Right?
All the way across.
There's no bones about how the amount of energy that the excess of energy that we experience once we go to a ketogenic.
Yes.
And if you got more energy,
That's it. Better.
baby.
Yeah. Movement is medicine. How do you get more movement? More ATP. Okay.
Yep.
And that's what ketosis and that's what I'm about. I'm really into the energy aspect of beta hydroxybutyrate molecule, because how it can increase your ATP production in the mitochondria, and that's one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah,
and that's what I study really deep. And if you want to increase sex drive, and you, let's see, what is it, 150 calories per 25 minutes of sex, I think? I think that's what it is. So you're actually, that's for people that go 25 minutes. It's not a calorie burner for me.
So I'm burning like 8.
Yeah, you're doing better than me. But you're producing ATP, all right? And keto gives you more ATP per molecule, all right? So you're actually going to be a higher producer. So I've heard, I'm not going there, but I'm just saying. It's a good thing.
So you're on board with me on that point.
Oh,
Energy.
Definitely.
Energy is awesome.
Definitely.
And definitely helps you with sex drive.
And your spouse, and if you guys are low on energy and you're fatigued, and your adrenals or cortisol, everything is out of whack, or you're in pain with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, all these things come into play. And so let's just start piecing these out and try to get you back. Because I have those that I coach that have no sex drive at all.
Yeah.
And they're feeling so much more energy being in ketosis, and I tell them it's going to roll over into your libido sooner or later, but we got to work on some hormone homeostasis first. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not an instant cure. I'm not going to say that to anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's a start to get things going.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into my last point. Okay. My last point is inflammation of the body. We talked about inflammation of the brain, inflammation of the body. If you've got aches, pains, sores, whatever, that's going to play into your desire within your sex drive, right? And every other same sort of thing when you talk about movement. Those ailments, whether they're disease, whether they're temporary, whatever it is, are going to affect your sex drive.
Definitely.
And what happens when we're in a ketogenic lifestyle with our inflammation, our aches and our pains and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and that's what's neat. You either have acute inflammation, which is something you got to take care of right away, a cod or whatever, and the immune system just starts doing its job, which is a good thing, all right? We have those pathogens it's got to go after. We got viruses and bacteria. That's a good thing. Inflammation is a good thing, okay? But when it steps over into chronic inflammation, autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, and those kind of things, when it goes chronic, that's when your body just starts to really become inflamed. And it starts out like silent inflammation. You don't even know it. It's a killer and you don't even know it, all right? So the neatest part about keto is it's so anti-inflammatory. It's got to get into the mitochondria to start the reduction of that reactive oxygen species, those free radicals. And free radicals aren't all bad. There's good because they're an oxidant. And I won't go into detail, but they actually turn good pathways on, okay? Then you have antioxidants that will counter the bad free radicals, all right? So it's all about inflammation. Every disease, everything, even Alzheimer's, even depression, Parkinson's, diabetes, cancer, everything's inflammatory evolved.
So how did I do?
You did great.
Did I convince you?
Yeah, you convinced me. Yeah, but I didn't need a lot of convincing. So.
Now you're speaking from experience.
No, he asked my wife, not me. No, I am older, but due to my lifestyle and keto and working out, staying active and trying to keep the stress down, it keeps my hormones balanced. It really does. Yeah, it's key. And I move a lot. I do a lot.
You do a lot of moving?
No, working out. Movement. I work out. All right.
We all know. We all know.
Movement is medicine. That's my medicine.
You don't have to talk in secret.
That's true.
All right. Well, thanks for biohacking with us today, Eric.
Thanks.
And I want to thank you for joining us on this quest for optimal fitness. If you're ready to begin your own journey and live your life in ketosis, be sure to check out biofitcoaching.com and BioFit Coaching on Facebook. Also, if we've entertained you or helped you or educated you in any way, we'd like to encourage you to go onto iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, leave us a 5-star review or a 5-star rating rather, and a review. That helps us reach more people, and it also gives people a good idea of what the podcast is about, and how it will benefit them. And finally, once again, if we've added any value to your life, the greatest compliment that you can give us is telling your friends and family about the podcast. Anybody who could use this information, please share it and get the word out for us. And we thank you so much. We hope everybody's doing fantastic. And until next time, stay keto.
Is this good right here? That high?
Yeah.
It's never been that high.
Literally every time.
It seems like it's so freaking high. I don't say that every time. You're full of it.
So, you do. Literally every single time.
Well, every time. I think when I do, I see this and I come
every
across.
time.
Is it really?